always a work in progress around here. But, if everything's not a work in progress in your life, I don't know what you're doing. Try to get better. We're trying to get better every single day here on ESPN Radio. I'm Colter Nuanez. This is Nuanez Now. If you're watching on the TV, SWX Montana TV, you're wondering why I was doing a little dance. We couldn't hear anything. I was pointing at Andrew, our producer, and then I realized because my button wasn't turned on. So this is how we roll. Friday. Happy Friday. That means Rajim Seabrook in studio with me, Colter Nuanez. Got a lot to get to today. Rajim's got to take off because crosstown in Missoula tonight.
Let's go.
Second week in a row, the Garden City has hosted a crosstown showdown. Sentinel versus Big Sky tonight. Last week, Big Sky took down Hellgate. Sentinel Hellgate got canceled. So tonight, this is for the city championship. So we'll get into that. We're also going to hear from, of course, Dane Oliver and Matt Johnson, the head coaches, respectively, of the Big Sky Eagles and the Sentinel Spartans. I guess not in that order because Coach Oliver from Sentinel, Coach Johnson from Big Sky. Also going to talk about some of the other games around the state. Rajim and I are also going to wrap a little bit about the NFL off the top here. Also going to talk baseball. The playoffs are underway. Boxing. There's a heavyweight title fight on Saturday night. I don't even know if anybody actually knows or cares. I think people know, but I don't really know if they care.
I do.
You care?
I care.
Absolutely. Well, that's good. That's good to know. Maybe I'll invite you over to watch it on Saturday night after the Grizz game. And then we'll also get you set for this weekend in college football as well, specifically in the state of Montana, both the Grizzlies and the Bobcats at home. Because this is where I want to start today, Raji. By the way, welcome, man. Thanks for being here, man.
Always, brother. Always an honor and a pleasure. And I like you said this is a work in progress. You got to have work in progress to make progress within your work.
Hey, there we go. That's good.
All right, let's
go. We're always tweaking, honing, getting it locked in. A couple pieces of bulletin board for you. You're going to want to keep all this in your head, under your hat. First and foremost, you want to watch this show or listen to the show somewhere besides your traditional outlets. You go to our station website. You can stream it, 1029ESPN.com. You'll also find the podcast there. You can also find our Grizz Greats podcast series there. So 1029ESPN.com. Also, if you want to watch this show on YouTube, you're going to have to do this if you want to win anything this fall. You got to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's easy. Just go to YouTube, Nuanez, subscribe. And we got a cool fall giveaway. We're giving you a Traeger grill, a year of Alpine Touch, and a box from Haymaker Beef. We also have another prize, which includes a grill, an OtterBox, and a cooler from Twisted Tea. So huge fall giveaway. But part of the challenge is you have to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You also have to subscribe to the podcast, and you have to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You also got to follow Alpine Touch and Haymaker Beef on Instagram and Facebook. Pretty easy. We're giving you 6 weeks. I'm going to tell you about it every single day. So just go ahead and do it. Also, because it's a Friday, it's a Florence Coffee Company Friday.
Ooh-wee.
Got myself a little iced Americano. Andrew's not a coffee guy, but we got Andrew rocking on the chai, so that's good. At least I can, gift him with something to complete his week. Rajim's rocking with his hot Americano.
The best of the best.
I got to tell you, first and foremost, by the way, Florence Coffee, no matter where you're at in Missoula, in Montana, there's a Florence Coffee near you. You can stay up late. It's a Friday night. Also, they got their pumpkin spice going right now. They take pumpkin seriously. They offer a variety of pumpkin lattes, chais, and frappes. So if you're ready for something pumpkin, you're ready for Florence Coffee. You can visit any location or FlorenceCoffee.com. When you first walked in the studio, that black Sentinel Spartans hat you got on, the way that it was reflecting in the light, it almost looked identical to Michigan State, which I thought actually made sense because you have Michigan.
Pops went, baby.
That's what I'm saying. So I was thinking, if you got some Michigan State and some Sentinel gear, you could rock that together.
Actually, I do, and I wish that I could sometimes translate some of my Michigan State gear into Spartan gear because I would have some nice stuff, but the green just doesn't go over well with the purple. I look like I'm playing, walking around showing the Bucks some love, even though I do love the Greek Freak.
Gotta love them.
Gotta love them.
Rajim Seabrook in studio with me, Colter Nuanez. Time to dive into our all football all the time. We do this a lot of the time this time of year here at Nuanez Now. It's presented in part by Brett's RV and Marine, as well as our new presenting sponsor, Northern Quest Casino. All football all the time brought to you by the Turf Club Sports Club. Open soon at Northern Quest Casino. Go check out that Turf Club Sports book. Make all your sports bets live and in person there at Northern Quest. Let's start with the purple. Big Sky Sentinel, we're going to hear from both head coaches in the second hour. You're going to have to take off a little early because you are coaching down there at Sentinel, so you got to go support the boys. But what's your scout on this one?
I was talked to a couple of people about this. Don't let the records fool you. There's a couple of factors that go into this.
For sure. Big Sky's play a tough schedule.
Big Sky's playing a tough schedule. Big Sky is also, if you look at what they've done defensively, they're playing well outside of the blowouts. Like when you just look at their body of work, they've played some solid defense.
They've also played exceptional defense in certain situations because they turn the ball over 6 times in a game twice. And I'm going to say only gave up like 24 points one of those games. I mean, this day and age in football, if you turn the ball over 6 times, you're going to lose. You're usually losing by 50. And so they actually have stemmed the bleeding quite a bit. And they seem like they're getting a little bit on track offensively as well.
Yeah, I kind of liken them to Hellgate. Hellgate was doing very well offensively, not so well defensively. And Big Sky is like the opposite of that. And now Big Sky's going into an interesting part of their schedule, especially when you start looking at seeding. Big Sky's a dangerous team. Like, don't get it twisted. Don't let their record indicate how they actually perform and play.
Would you agree with this? Because I think that we're far enough into the season now where there's definitive tiers in Class AA.
Absolutely.
There's a top tier right now, which I think Helena versus Glacier tonight will define which one of those two teams belongs in that top tier. But there's a top tier with
game of the week for me right there.
Absolutely. But there's a top tier with Billings West and Missoula Sentinel.
Absolutely.
Those are the two best teams. One, the best from the East, the best from the West.
Period.
And then Helena Capitals battling to be in that top tier. Helena High is battling to be in that top tier.
Absolutely.
Kalispell Glacier is battling to be in that top tier. Billings Senior, maybe. Butte, maybe. You know, those are sort of the top of the next tier, though, is Butte and Senior.
Right.
But I think Big Sky is better than almost anybody else. I get Great Falls CMR is also battling to be in that top tier.
Yeah,
sure.
To me, they're the dark horse. That's a team you don't want to play.
But and I know we're talking high school football, so I don't want to be too harsh about this. But there are several teams in the state of Montana at the Class AA level that are not going to win a game unless they're playing each other. Big Sky's not one of those teams.
No,
Big Sky's better than all of those teams.
Agreed.
And I think a part of it's because they do have some great athletes. I mean, I think the Caleb Wren kid who's playing quarterback, he's a really good athlete. He's learning how to play quarterback, though. You can see it coming along. And Trey Reed is a really good athlete on the outside.
Good. Very, very good.
And the other thing is, and Dane Oliver, a tease for later, because I recorded this with Dane actually yesterday. Obviously, he's not going to do something on game day.
No, sir.
But he was saying that more than anything, though, when it's Sentinel Big Sky, you know Big Sky is going to bring it because, I mean, that's what the program's about is toughness. I know, I mean, I'm a Big Sky guy. This is from 15 years or longer ago, but Big Sky always wants to beat Sentinel, man. I mean,
no
so
doubt.
They're always going to give their best effort. So it's going to be an interesting challenge for Sentinel because Spartans, on one hand, been on the road. They've run the gauntlet. This is supposed to be the part of their schedule that's a little bit easier. They got to go to Flathead last week, but that's not an easy trip.
I don't agree with that.
And now you got a crosstown game. So it'll be fun tonight at Missoula County Public Stadium.
It will be. And Big Sky's going to play up for this game for a couple of different reasons. Number one, even though we're the home team and it's homecoming, it's in their backyard. So they want to play spoiler to Missoula for Sentinel on that level alone, like not losing on their home field, so to say. The other part of this is that they're trying to make a statement. This was the year that, Matt Johnson was hoping to kind of get over that hump and get his team back to where he would like to have them in the playoffs. This is a pivotal game for them. This will also be a good game for Big Sky to see where they rank going across the state if they are to make the playoffs at the end. How do they match up against the elite of the elite, as you stated, Coulter, going into the playoffs to better position themselves, but also to scout themselves against other teams going forward?
Well, and Matt Johnson has so much experience as a head coach.
Yes.
And Big Sky, with this new playoff format, if Big Sky gets a favorable, they're not going to get a favorable draw because of the stats of their season at this current moment,
right?
In terms of like a really favorable draw, but they're a team that could go in and win a couple games in the playoffs,
totally,
with the way that the new format works.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's what you want is you just want to be peaking, you want to be getting better all the time, and what better way to test if you're getting better than against the best in the state? That's the Sentinel Spartans.
Exactly, and I think that this is also, now we're going to go on to the other side of the line of scrimmage. For Missoula Sentinel, this is a good test.
It is.
It's the physicality of this game. On top of the last two games that Missoula Sentinel's gone through, it will be a good testament. It's getting colder. You're playing against a pound-like team, and Missoula's going to have to respond to that with their athleticism and ridiculously beautiful offensive playbook. So it'll be a good matchup. It'll be a good crosstown rival, especially on a homecoming weekend. It's set up for a really good game here in Missoula.
Nuanez now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. Rajeem Seabrook in studio with me, Coulter Nuanez. You want to go to the Grizz game tomorrow? I got 4 tickets for you, plus a $50 gift card from the Stone of Accord. This is so easy. I've been teasing it all week. Got to call us right now. Caller number 4. I got 4 tickets and a $50 gift card to the Stone of Accord. 888-1029. That's 406-888-1029. Caller number 4. Got a 4-pack of tickets from the Stone of Accord, as well as a $50 gift card to the Stone. All you got to do is call us and then come see me tomorrow before the Grizz game. We'll be broadcasting from the Chamber of Commerce parking lot for from 11 o'clock until 12:30 before tomorrow's Montana game against Dixie State. All football all the time, brought to you in part by Brett's RV and Marine. Summer may be setting, but savings are on the rise at Brett's RV and Marine. Swing on by 4800 Grant Creek Road today to check out the largest inventory of RVs under the big sky. One other rivalry clash tonight, Missoula Loyola traveling to Florence. The Falcons got it rolling, and Missoula Loyola, they're into the gauntlet because Loyola had to forfeit a game early.
Sadly.
Which was just sort of silly, stupid. I mean, I don't know the right word, but it's unfortunate.
Politics would come to mind.
Yeah, no doubt. But then they won 3 in a row, including a resounding victory over Manhattan, the defending state champions, which was a good one.
Watch that one out my window.
But they, Rajim and I both live right by there. So I'm like right across the street from the field, and Rajim has a little balcony he can like look out. I got trees in front of me, so I need to come see you.
Yes, please. We talked about this right. Anyway, go. Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice.
But the Rams, though, they've hit the tough part of their schedule. They had to go to Eureka, which is one of the top 5 teams in the state at the Class B level.
Always tough.
And now they got to play. Then they had to play. Was Big Fork in Big Fork?
In Big Fork.
They had to go to Big Fork, which is another one of the best programs at the Class B level. And now tonight they got to go to Florence for a rivalry game against the number 1 team in Class B. The Rams are significantly improved from a year ago.
Absolutely.
Florence is a team of destiny to me. I'm not trying to anoint anybody yet, but that team's stacked. That's one of the best Class B teams I've seen. Period.
And it's when Florence is good, Florence is very good. And that for me, that's any sport.
Right.
Like they just have this very interesting sway about them that when they are good, they are good. Florence is a very scary team. Missoula's going to play their harlot. The Rams are going to bring it. But sadly, I think tonight Florence comes out on top. They're just a juggernaut right now in Class B.
When you have a Division I lineman at the Class B level, that alone makes you a favorite to go to the semifinals of the playoffs. Yes. Because he's going to be so dominant. He's going to be able to dominate on both sides of the ball. They have that in the Abbott kid who's heading to Montana State. He's a big-time recruit. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's a military brat. I think his family moved here from Maryland. I think his dad was in the Navy. So he's a guy that was gifted to the Falcons, which is awesome. I mean, good for Pat Duchesne and his crew. But also then you add in that Pat Duchesne Jr., who's only a junior right now at Florence, is, in my mind, a blossoming collegiate prospect. I think he will have a chance to play at the next level. Yes. Whether it's at the Frontier or the Division I level, he needs to keep developing, but he's definitely can play at the college level.
Yeah, his frame, I'm interested to see how his frame develops. What type of muscle is he going to put on that, and where's he going to go in that like later growth? It'd be interesting to talk about him in a year from now.
I watched him for the first time when he was a sophomore. His maturity in running a huddle and running. I mean, they're running basically a no huddle spread. I shouldn't say running a huddle, but running the offense at the line of scrimmage. They're running a lot of. I mean, he can play under center, out of the gun,
pistol.
I mean, all sorts of stuff.
Yes, sir.
He's relatively athletic, but he's 6'3", and you're right, he's still very thin, but he's only 16 or 17 years old.
Exactly.
So I do think he has a lot of upside because of his cerebral abilities, and then also he has a good frame. But they have another bunch of other guys, too. I mean, Tristan Pyatt is a really good receiver. Blake Shoup is a guy that could play in the Frontier Conference, I think, and if he wanted to, maybe walk on at the Division I level. So they have some guys for sure, and it'll be a tough and stiff test for Loyola tonight. One last thing about this world of football before we get into the top level of football.
Yes, sir.
It is all football all the time. Brought to you in part by Northern Quest Casino. Your take on the Montana-Eastern Washington game a week ago. I know we talked a lot about it on the show leading up to the game, but Montana falls 34-28, but won a college football game first and foremost, and I thought it was some of the best. I thought it was each team doing what they do best, and at the end of the day, Eastern Washington had the better player at the more important position. That's it. That's all. That's all to me.
Yeah, there were just two things that stood out that were just uncharacteristic of Montana. Poor special teams play. Having that field goal blocked was what I thought was the pendulum swinger for Eastern Washington to get back into the game. And then just, as you just noted, Colter, the difference of play at the helm, at the quarterback position. That was just, Eric B. is just ridiculous. Like, that boy is silky smooth, cool under pressure, can read a defense, has a great delivery and release, and unfortunately right now Cam Humphreys is struggling a little bit, and when I say a little bit, I mean a lot. And it was disappointing and sad to watch the Grizzlies because I love the boys, but I think sometimes things like this it's a good loss. That's a good loss because you learn more from your losses than you do from your successes. You always know how you succeed. This loss exposed us a little bit, but I also think that this is something that you learn and build off and build around. So despite it being a shot on the record for the year, it's one of the best things that could have happened to this Grizzly football team.
I totally agree because this whole the essence of the program right now with Bobby Hauck, what he wants it to be about is about development. It's about discipline. It's about going through the routine, getting the work done every day. I mean, it's like,
yes, sir.
Coach Hauck, he never takes the bait when you ask him, what do you think the potential of this team is? Or what do you think that the training has gotten you? He always says, well, the training, in its essence, works if you do it every single day and you do it at the level that we demand of you. And to demand to up your level, like we talked about at the very beginning of the show. I mean, if you always want to continue to get better, to demand to up your level all the time, after a loss, you can say, here's all our fundamental weaknesses.
Yes.
Let's figure these out.
Absolutely.
You get sort of, you get high on yourself when you're winning all the time. And even if you do know that there's little things to tweak, it's not as easy to tweak them when you're already having the ultimate result of success. Sometimes when you get the failure, that's what makes you want to chase that success again, right?
Absolutely, and that's why and it's not a knock on Dixie State because I know that there's fans here for this game today, or tomorrow rather. That's why I'm a little sad that we're not playing another Big Sky opponent for this game,
right? Because
it's like one of those. How do we rebound against competition that we will be facing, consistently, and after a good loss like that, as I stated, I want to see us play somebody else right now to say, okay, how do we bounce back? Where's our resiliency? How do we overcome adversity? And playing a team of lesser caliber isn't always the best answer.
Congratulations to Patrick, our winner of the Stone of Accord 4-pack of tickets to the Grizz game, as well as a $50 gift card.
That is sweet.
Patrick, come see me tomorrow. I'll be down there at the Chamber of Commerce parking lot. If you want to come help set up, I don't know, 9:30, but we'll be down there. We'll be down there broadcasting from 11 until 12:30. You do not actually have to come. And in fact, I don't want you to.
I'm sad I won't be there.
I know, Rajiv can't roll tomorrow. So let's talk about that just for a brief minute.
Got a coach.
You're coaching,
yeah.
But I do think there's a bigger thing here because there's several different issues as to why your game got rescheduled, right?
Well, there's a lot of what happens with these Saturday games is that Missoula, we have 5 high schools in the city of Missoula. 3 high schools play at one school. So there aren't as many facilities to help nurture some of the middle school programs, the MYFs of the world. So fields are scarce. And as many people know, MOA is the pool is shallow, folks. So before we even get into the field things, if you have time and you love sports, and I don't care if it's volleyball, basketball, football, softball, and you love kids, please become an official. If not, youth sports is in dire straits. And
I mean, we're talking like 50% capacity right now in terms of what the official pool needs. I mean, they're down like half of their guys, what they need to function.
Well, and the problem with that is teams and leagues are growing. And the demand for them is growing. And when you're talking about kids having to play football games now on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because there aren't enough officials, you've got to spread the pool around. Now you're also putting stress on your officials.
Sure.
Some of these guys
put stress on your parents too, because
absolutely.
Now the schedule's all messed up. Baby mom decided to get this day off work. Now it's rescheduled. Now she's got to work on Saturday. That stuff sucks.
Totally. So, a lot of the rescheduling is coming from the lack of officials and, honestly, the lack of facilities as well. So, yeah, if you can become an official, do so. One day when I retire from this world of coaching, that's what I'm going to do because you got to give back to keep the kids going. So let's go.
I know that I talk about this a lot on this show, but I do think it's very important. And I know that some of you might be thinking, well, put your money where your mouth is. I would love to be an official. In fact, I hope to someday. But in this role that I have on the radio show, as well as more than anything, though, just the timing, that's why I can't coach or officiate. First of all, because it would make some of the commentary here a little bit awkward. But more than anything, I don't get out of here until 7 o'clock. Like, I can't go.
True.
There is nothing I can do. So
I'm a witness.
Nuanez now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Rajeem Seabrook in studio with me, Colter Nuanez. Let's talk NFL. It's all football all the time, presented in part by Northern Quest Casino. The Turf Club Sportsbook is opening soon at Northern Quest, so head on over to Northern Quest Casino, get all your sports bets in place. There are some good games on the docket this weekend, including the Sunday night game. And right now, first and foremost, the NFL must just be over the top with how good the primetime games have been.
Thursday in particular, because outside of this year, historically speaking,
usually terrible.
Basura, mi hermano. That means garbage for those who don't know.
Absolutely. And last night's game was a little bit clunky. It wasn't that clean, but it was a competitive game.
Agreed. Good shared thought.
But the only real garbage Thursday night game so far has been the Panthers when they drilled the Texans. Other than that, the Thursday night games have been dynamite. We've seen Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson come down to the last possession. We've seen Aaron Rodgers versus the 49ers.
That was a good game.
Come down to the very last possession. We saw the Bengals last Thursday come down to the very last possession. Over and over and over again, these games have been so good. And now we have one of the best games, one of the predicted games to watch in the preseason. Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs, a rematch of the AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. The Bills stubbed their toe in week one. They've looked good since then. The Chiefs, they're sort of wavering, and I only say that based on Chiefs standards. I mean, they've already almost lost as many games as they. I mean, this is a two-loss team in the last 2 years. So, the fact that they already have two losses, it is an interesting situation for them to be in. It's not panic mode time whatsoever, but this could be a statement game for the Bills if they can figure out a way to get it done.
Yeah, here's what I'm going to let's talk about Mahomes for a second. Love Mahomes, dynamic, generational talent. What has happened is the league has caught up with Mahomes. Mahomes came in, he wasn't as highly touted as coming out of Texas Tech as some other quarterbacks have been over the years. So people kind of slept on him initially. The video, the tape, the film has caught up with him. What has also caught up with him, what I kind of see when I watch him play just a little bit, I see some fatigue. And what I mean by that is, when you watch a guy like Patrick Mahomes play as many games as he has in football, like in a LeBron James, when you play preseason, the regular season, the playoffs, and you go to the championships and you do all the stuff in between, that takes a toll on your body. So as many games as you're winning, you're losing on the backside physically.
The attention that you receive is also draining as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the number one factor. There's a reason that no one has repeated as Super Bowl champion in 20 years. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that only five teams have ever repeated as Super Bowl champions, because even just going to the Super Bowl multiple years in a row, just the tax that is, like you're saying, in the number of games played, but also in the attention, the drama. It's Pat Riley's famous line, the disease of more, the disease of me, right? And you can see it not from a schematic perspective, because they still have the best quarterback in the NFL. They still have the best, probably, overall weapon in the NFL in Travis Kelce. I think he's the most unstoppable guy in the league when paired with Mahomes.
Agreed.
They got the best big play guy in the league in Tyreek Hill.
Absolutely.
They have one of the best coaches in the league. But it's the exterior stuff that's starting to erode.
Right.
There was the issue with it. I mean, not the issue, the scandal with Andy Reid's son last year. There's been more drama behind that whole thing. Andy Reid and his health issues, having to go to the hospital after I guess it was the first or second game. All of those things those are distractions. You're on Sunday Night Football all the time. You're getting interviewed by all the national guys. Everybody's asking you about things that aren't about football, and it starts weighing on you, right? And so it's very interesting to hear you say that Mahomes seems fatigued, because you're right, he absolutely does.
Yeah, I would be too. And the expectations with all of that too. The and this is when in sports, like you talk to sports psychologists, the person starts to fracture. And not saying Mahomes is there, but the stress of that, of being the person versus being the persona that everyone wants you to be, that's fatigue inducing. And you're starting to see that. You see it in his interviews. You just see it in his energy. You see it in his nonverbals. And I just think he's tired. Is he still a competitor? Of course, one of the fiercest on the planet. But I do think that the outside world, as you noted, Coulter, is starting to wear on him, and it translates into less effective play.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break and talk about a variety of other different things, but also circle back around to football because I have several other NFL games I want Rajim's perspective on. We're going to also talk baseball and heavyweight boxing to finish up hour one, and all things high school football in hour number 2. Keep it right here. It's ESPN Radio. Paul Ryan is a name that's been synonymous with law around the Garden City for decades. And Paul is excited to announce the expansion of his firm to Ryan, Holloway, and Miller. Paul Ryan, Nate Holloway, and Angie Miller have a fierce love for their community and want to help you with any of your legal needs. From auto accidents to medical malpractice to wrongful death or any criminal defense, Ryan, Holloway, and Miller should be your first call. Paul has established a reputation as the top legal mind in Missoula, claiming the Garden City's best attorney honors 13 different years. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller is a local firm with experience and intimate knowledge to help clients with any needs. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller will be available to take your calls at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So no matter what your legal needs in western Montana and around the Treasure State, when it comes to personal injury or criminal defense, call Ryan, Holloway, and Miller today. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller, your Montana attorneys.
Open your new Stockman Bank account anytime, anywhere with online account opening. Now, you can open an account in minutes on your laptop, tablet, or mobile phone. It's convenient, simple, and secure. Open your new account today at stockmanbank.com. Then, add our online and mobile banking services so you can manage your money when, where, and how you want. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Member FDIC.
Fresh ingredients combined with home-style recipes are what we're serving on the Montana Club's Fall Comfort Food Menu. Warm up with the Osso Buco or hearty chicken fried chicken, or savor our hot in the skillet chicken pot pie. Of course, cool days call for yummy desserts. Cap things off with the club's creamy pumpkin skillet a la mode or skillet apple pie. Visit your Montana Club today. Full menu at montanaclub.com. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Teddy Roosevelt once said, "The credit belongs to the man in the arena whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood." We here at ESPN Missoula like to dole out that credit each week during Treasure State Stars. Tune in each Tuesday during the 4 o'clock hour to Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula for the Treasure State Stars, where we highlight a handful of the top individual athletic performances from across the great state of Montana. Treasure State Stars is proudly presented by Parkside Credit Union.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking. Now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Crosstown football descends upon the Garden City for the second straight week tonight. Hello, I am Coulter Nuanez. Last week, Big Sky took down Hellgate 42-35 in the first crosstown football game of the season between Missoula's Class AA high schools. The initial crosstown game between Sentinel and Hellgate was canceled. Tonight, the Eagles will look to topple the defending state champion Spartan to earn a city title. If Sentinel comes out on top, it'll be the 16th straight overall victory for the top-ranked team in the state. Hellgate plays at surging Helena Capital tonight. The fourth-ranked Bruins are 4-2 this season. To hear from Sentinel head coach Dane Oliver, Big Sky head coach Matt Johnson, and Hellgate head coach Mick Boris, tune in to Nuanez Now at 5 p.m. today. The Hellgate girls soccer team earned its first city title in 13 seasons and won for the 5th time in a row. Moved to 9-1-1 with a 1-0 win over Missoula Big Sky on Thursday behind senior Ashley Young's goal in the 30th minute. Hamilton, who had its game last week against East Helena, canceled, will search for its 6th consecutive victory tonight against winless Ronan. Top-ranked Florence Carlton hosts its rival in Missoula Loyola. Falcons are looking for their 6th straight win, while Loyola has lost 2 straight after a 3-1 start. And finally, the Grizz football team hosts Dixie State in a non-conference contest, while Montana State hosts Cal Poly on Saturday afternoon.
This 102.9 ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
Park and switch house in this. Check it out. Yo.
I'm looking for a dime. That's top of the line. Cute face, slim waist with a big behind. I need a dime. That's top of the line. Cute face, slim waist with a big behind.
You want this money, then you gotta be a man. Shake that from the tip if you a man. Drop it down to the floor if you a man.
Jones, who? Shout out to the girls down at the Hype House. That was one of the songs today. It got stuck in my head. We had to play it for him. That was a funny era in rap, man.
Buddy.
Rajim Seabrook in studio with me, Coulter Nuanez.
Mike Jones.
It is Nuanez now. Yeah, like the thing that's so funny is that like Mike Jones and Chamillionaire and like T.I. to a certain extent and Paul Wall and all these dudes, they were all so corny, but they were also kind of good. Like it was for what
No, they
it
weren't.
was like kind of good though, man.
Oh,
like
like
that song is pretty funny, man.
Shingy.
No, see, Shingy trash. That was trash.
But that whole genre, it was just straight chorus lines and one-hit bangers. Like,
yeah, for sure. I guess I should say it was fun, man. Like it's not educational or culturally impactful or even quality.
No, just have
it's
fun with it.
Fun though, man.
Yeah.
Like, they were having fun. The thing is, they were putting out so many songs, so it didn't matter when the song got old. It was just like keep rolling. Like we'll just have another fun song for you coming out next.
yeah, that's when no one was making albums back then. It was just everyone did a single.
Right.
And I can't remember the last time I haven't seen like a song that wasn't featuring someone else.
Right.
Eight other people from that time.
Well, that's what's so funny is like those dudes. It wasn't a group, but they were all in a group, and they just like were on each other's songs. Nelly and the Lunatics did that a lot as well. You a Nelly guy? You into Nelly?
You know, I love Nelly.
No, see, Nelly's sweet though, man. Like Nelly is a phenomenal lyricist. Also, he and Bone Thugs and Harmony sort of defined Midwest rap, right? Like Bone Thugs got Cleveland, and
he got the
Nelly's
Lou.
got St. Louis.
St. Lou. Yeah. What I liked about Nelly's, I always like to have a music icon match up with an athlete.
Sure.
To me, he was the Allen Iverson of hip hop.
Ooh, that's pretty good. Okay.
You like that?
I like that's pretty good.
Yeah. So like
sure.
he just like little scrappy. I'm gonna do me anytime, every time, all the time, and love me or leave me for it, and I dig him. So yeah, he's got his own little thing that I can get behind. I'm just glad the Band-Aid aren't on his face anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Nuanez now your one-stop shop for all things hip-hop reviews, as well as sports. We're going to talk a little bit about a couple other sports that we talk about from time to time, but maybe not the dominant, like football, like basketball. First of all, I want to start with baseball. I have been basically doing self-administered therapy over my forlorn and lost love with and for baseball for a long time. And I mean, for our loyal listeners, this is just me repeating myself. But for your perspective, baseball was certainly my favorite sport growing up.
Me too.
It was the sport. I think it was probably my best sport in terms of team sports. Skiing is probably my best sport, but team sports, baseball probably. I played it for the longest. Loved it.
Yes,
it was also
agreed.
my initial obsession when I was a kid in terms of watching baseball, collecting baseball cards, not just playing it, but also playing video games for baseball. Hats,
having all
man,
the MLB hats. I feel you
for sure. I loved it. I loved it. I mean, like Sunday night baseball was must-see TV for me, man. Tuesday night baseball, always. And my favorite National League teams, the San Francisco Giants. My mother's from the Bay Area. Her brothers are all, well, actually, I guess two of them are big Dodgers fans, but she's got a brother that's a big Giants fan as well.
Mama knew.
And I remember going to Candlestick Park when I was a kid. And so that's all to say, when I was first in journalism school at the University of Montana, and the book Game of Shadows came out, I bought it, both for its journalism prowess and because it's featured villain. There's one Barry Bonds, my favorite baseball player of all time. And,
wait, for real?
Oh, man, I love him. You want to know why? Because I love a good villain, man. Barry Bonds did not give a care what you thought about him, and he was still the best player in baseball. But his ego was the thing that doomed him, ultimately, no question. But that book, which basically just crucified Barry Bonds to the end of time, and justifiably so, it made me gravitate away from baseball big time. And then I've also seen the game, but now I've been making a conscious effort to get back into it. I watched the Red Sox-Yankees game the other night. That was a great game. I watched the Dodgers game the other night. Phenomenal game.
Really good game.
Walk-off by the Dodgers over the Cardinals. Watched them, enjoyed them, all of it. But still, there's a missing link. So I've been really trying to it's not just the broken heart from the book. That was 15 years ago. There's a whole bunch of other missing elements. But where are you at with baseball? Because now we're into the throes of the Major League Baseball playoffs.
You know, I'm going to mirror and parallel everything you just said. Growing up, love baseball. Love baseball more than football. Love baseball growing up more. I wanted to play baseball in college more than I wanted to play football in college, except baseball in college is much different. Oh, boy, that's another segment for another day. Where am I at with it? I'm not anywhere with it. I'm pretty indifferent with baseball. I'm glad it's around. I'm glad it's here. But I hate to say it's boring. And it's only exciting when certain teams are around. It's only exciting at certain points of the year. It's only exciting if you have a vested interest in the players. We have gone away from putting the love back into baseball. What's also happened with baseball is I think there's a huge disconnect in our communities between Little League and the pros. If you're not from a state that A, has a good college team, or B, has baseball in your high schools. I think
that's part of it.
I think that is a huge, huge disconnect. I also think that there's over the last couple of years, the racial demographics of baseball has shifted, that the heroes of baseball aren't residing within the communities in America for kids to latch onto.
I think this is actually a very overlooked point. It is. I absolutely think it is, because it's not just about the decline in African American players in Major League Baseball, but that is a serious.
That's a huge one.
It's a huge portion of it. But I think it's even more the allotment of athletes. Period. I've thought about this a lot. Football has become so filled with glory and also so filled with opportunity because it is such a big deal at hundreds of schools. I mean, there's hundreds of Division I schools that are trying in football right now, which means thousands of Division I scholarships for guys.
Right.
But I always wonder how many dudes go and play at Georgia State and become like, the number 3 cornerback by the time they're seniors, when they could have been like an all-SEC baseball player, but they just chose the sport that comes with more fame. You know what I mean? Like I just think that so many of America's best athletes that could be great at baseball are either not even being exposed to it, which is part of your point,
right?
But also maybe are choosing to move away from baseball to pursue other pursuits, even if they are better at baseball than they are at football and or basketball.
Well, I'm gonna add on to that. The other issue with baseball is the turnaround time on who the athlete is. You can have this stud kid that's in a high school basketball, baseball, volleyball player who goes on to be a stud college player, who then goes on to be a stud pro or Olympian. Baseball, the transition, the ranks in which you have to go through, it's too long. Like baseball season is too long. The process, the maturation process, the subdivisions of leagues, like you lose the names being churned out within the system. You know, like when you're a stud point guard or a stud pitcher or a softball pitcher or a stud football player.
Yeah.
Dude, you're bang, 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 and you're in, and your name is out there. Baseball, it's too much, and then the interest is lost.
Sure. Well, there's also so many different ways you can go as well. I mean, as Andrew, our producer, just pointed out, baseball doesn't offer full-ride scholarships, or they don't have full scholarships for Division I baseball. So that then deters guys to maybe go do this, do that, do the other thing.
I would also say sometimes location.
Sure.
Like football is very insulated in its own subculture within and has its own buffers to protect those players. Baseball in the South is very interesting. There's a very interesting culture that's associated with that. And when you're down there in the back bayous and stuff, there's some hesitancy and reluctance from certain sectors to be invested in that, especially with how long the seasons are. So the histrionics of baseball within the culture of it doesn't bode well down the line for professional athletes to take latch to.
Nuanez now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. SWX Montana Television. Rajeem Seabrook in studio with me, Colter Nuanez, talking all things baseball right now. We're broadcasting from the Northwest Motorsport studio. Northwest Motorsport is new to Missoula, new to Montana. They're located at the corner of Stevens and Mount here in the Garden City. They boast the largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. You can find them at nwmsrocks.com. That's nwmsrocks.com. 11.7 scholarships among the 25-man roster is what Division I baseball teams have. So half of the number of scholarships. So that in itself is a deterrent for sure. A couple other things, though, because I do think that the channeling of some of America's best athletes into other sports is part of it. I also think that a lot of people got really soured on Major League Baseball as an entity, as a governing body, because of multiple strikes, multiple work stoppages, the steroid scandal. But more than that, the fundamental mishandling of the marketing and production of Major League Baseball.
I was going to end with that and the time of year in which baseball is at its height.
How is Shohei Ohtani not a way bigger star? I know he's a big star, like on the West. He's on the coasts. He's a star, but he's not nearly the level of star that he should be, given what he's doing.
No, that.
You talk about the connection to Asia, the fact that he's a pitcher and a hitter, and the fact that he plays for the second largest market in the entire country in the Angels in Los Angeles. All of it. He's going to be the MVP. It's so confusing to me that he's not, but he's not. He's not a superstar like he should be, but so much of it is Major League Baseball. Like Mike Trout is the biggest star in baseball, and he's hardly even a star. Like Mike Trout makes $7 million a year in endorsements. Dude who won the Masters this last year made $650 million in endorsements. You got to be able to market your guys.
And baseball right now isn't marketable. It isn't sleek. It isn't sexy. It isn't powerful. It's a great game.
And that's my last point. Is part of the reason it's not sleek or sexy is because it's become so homogenized.
Yes.
There's so much.
Too much of one thing is never good.
Everybody's doing all this analytic stuff. Everybody's playing the same style. Everybody has similar makeups in their bullpen and stuff. There's some teams that are a little bit more athletic that prioritize speed, but other than
power.
That, but like half of the guys that are memorable baseball players had all sorts of funky swings, but that's the whole point. They wouldn't let guys hit like so many great hitters from them. I mean, Rod Carew is a 3,000 hit guy.
Ooh,
nobody would let a guy swing the bat like that. That guy would never make it to the show this day and age, right?
Never.
I mean, Vladimir Guerrero swinging at everything from his eyeballs to his tiptoes.
Chuck Knobloch.
Right? I mean, there's
Gary Carter.
So many guys. I mean, you could go down the list forever and ever
Absolutely.
and ever. And I think that's the other part is you don't have like if there was just a guy with like a crazy funky swing or something like that, it would just make it so much more appealing. Now you just see every dude looking the exact same. They all went to the same hitting coach. They watched the same Fred McGriff video when they were.
I remember that with the hat and everything. Yeah, man.
Remember those infomercials?
I'm gonna hug you between segments. Give me some love, man. Man, you brought it back.
Gotta love it. We're gonna talk about another sport that used to be, I would say, for 100 years, for the duration of the 20th century, mostly the duration of the 20th century, baseball was king. And I guess in the 90s, it sort of gave it up to basketball, but 90 of the first 100 years, it was baseball and boxing. Those are the two things, and those are two of the sports that are trying to keep pace now. There's a heavyweight championship fight on Saturday. Did you know it? If you did, we're going to talk about it. If you didn't, we're going to enlighten you. Keep it right here, ESPN Radio.
Are you ready to step up your hair game but just not sure where to go? Well, Compass Barbershop, recently voted one of Missoula's best barbershops, is here for you. For the precision cut you're looking for, you've got to find your way to Compass Barbershop, Missoula's retro barbershop and salon for everyone. It's easy to schedule your appointment online at compassbarber.com. For more details, you can find them on Facebook or Instagram. Find your way to Compass Barbershop, open Monday through Saturday on the Hip Strip at the corner of modern and retro.
Colter Nuanez here from your favorite daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now. I know most of you are like me. You keep your precious car outside in this frigid Montana weather. If you want to change your outlook on those freezing Monday mornings, do what I did. Get yourself an automatic car starter at Aspen Sound. Aspen Sound will install the starter for you efficiently and keep you warm. Aspen Sound can also hook you up with sweet window tinting or a top-notch sound system for your vehicle. Stop by Aspen Sound at 1300 West Broadway in Missoula today.
Feel the music at Aspen Sound.
The world of real estate is always evolving. That's more true now than ever. If you are a longtime Missoulian that is looking to upgrade or downsize, it might be the best time yet to sell. If you're in the position to buy something new, today might be the best time to buy. And no matter what questions you have when it comes to residential or commercial real estate, Mike Nugent and the professionals at Berkshire Hathaway in Missoula have your answers. To find out what Mike can do for you, give him a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
We're all looking for ways to go green, and Farmer State Bank has everything you need. Start with free internet banking and bill pay. Download our mobile money app for state-of-the-art banking services on the go. And finally, enroll with Zelle, a fast, safe, and easy way to send money to the people you trust. It's free at Farmer State Bank. Save paper, save energy, and save your precious time. Bank greener at Farmer State Bank. Member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Football is back, and Nuanez Now has everything you need to know about the weekend that was. For the Grizzlies, the Bobcats, around the Big Sky Conference, and around the Treasure State in prep ranks too. Join Colter Nuanez, Riley Corcoran, and other contributing guests for the first hour of each Monday's Nuanez Now for compelling analysis, interesting information, interviews, and more. The Montana Football Hour, the first hour of each Monday's Nuanez Now, beginning at 4 p.m. on 102.9 ESPN Missoula and statewide on SWX Montana Television. Presented by Brett's RV and Marine.
To your children's eyes to see the true magic of a forest. It's a storybook world for them. You look and see a tree. They see the wrinkled face of a wizard with arms outstretched to the sky. They see treasure in pebbles. They see a windy path that could lead to adventure. And they see you, their fearless guide through this fascinating world.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
1, 2, 3. Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio. Ooh. Tell me when to go. 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 Tell me when to go.
Ryan Tutel and I had a long time debate over what percentage of our listeners knew who Macklemore was. He claimed that 75 to 80% of our listeners knew who Macklemore was. I said, no way, more like 1/3 know who Macklemore was. What percentage of our listeners do you think know who E40 is?
Don't set a brother up, man. Look, man, I plead 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. I plead the fifth.
If you know who E40 is, you were in the hyphy movement back in the day, text us 406-888-1029. I want to know. You don't even have to say anything, but I know. It's Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. See, this is why music's the greatest thing in the world, though, man, because it brings there's so much culture that comes from everywhere, right? Like,
I love it.
You're asking why do I know about all this? Because I had a couple dudes who were my friends and roommates when I was in college that were from, like, one was from South Bay and one was from San Diego, and so these dudes were all over the place.
All about it.
They love Keek the Sneak and E40 and whatever. A text from my mother, our most loyal listener. She says she has no idea who E40 is. I'm not surprised, Mom. I don't think you need to learn who that is either. It's okay.
It's okay.
It was a moment in time.
If your mom knew who E40 was, me and Mom are hanging out because she's that would make her the coolest.
Or maybe we don't. Maybe that would be. I mean, I think that would actually be weird, right?
No, that'd be cool.
I gotta love it. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate all the help and all the feedback as always.
Mama knew she's cool.
You want to enter our fall giveaway? It's easy. I got a Traeger grill, Alpine Touch, and Haymaker beef for you. Or I got a cooler, an OtterBox, and a grill from Twisted Tea. All you got to do is follow us on Instagram and Facebook Subscribe to Nuanez now on YouTube and the podcast. And you also got to follow Alpine Touch and Haymaker Beef on Instagram as well. If you follow us on Instagram, then you'll just have all this information because we're going to be putting it all out there all the time. So one thing leads to the other. And then to tell us that you did all that, just text us. 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Let's talk some boxing. Deontay Wilder, who at one moment in time I thought was the guy who could save heavyweight boxing.
Maybe.
He took a step down from that post. Then it was Anthony Joshua who was the next guy. That also didn't work out. And he's sort of trying to fight his way back up. And then now Tyson Fury is the guy that's on top. But on one hand, he's sort of an everyman that is sort of marketable. But on the other hand, he doesn't look like your typical heavyweight champion because he's not shredded and everything. He's just a big old dude. Looks like he's getting in bar fights. But this fight Saturday, it's the third of these two guys going at it. It seems like there's not much hype around it. Why? What do you think?
Well, a couple of different things. I think historically, America has loved boxing when you've had a heavyweight champion that America loves, or a champion that America loves to hate. We don't have those personas anymore. That's also, I'm going to parallel this conversation with the last segment. You have to have characters. Back in the 70s and 80s, going back to baseball, you had dudes that had character. You had heroes, you had villains, you had jokesters, you had pranksters. You used to have the same thing in boxing. You don't have that anymore. And that's what's lacking. You don't have the Don Kings of the world, the Sugar Ray Leonards of the world, you know, the Marvin Haglers of the world who can't talk a blink straight. Like, you know, you just had guys like that that America loved.
Part of it, too, this is another example of the best athletes gravitating towards different sports, right? Like George Foreman's never becoming a heavyweight boxer in 2021. George Foreman is becoming a defensive tackle or a defensive end. You know,
he looks like Ndamukong Suh.
That's what I'm saying. Like George Foreman in this day and age is gonna, instead of just being a 275-pound shredded wrecking ball, he's gonna put on 20 pounds of mass and be a defensive tackle, play on the interior defensive line. It's across the board, though, man. Like Khalil Mack would be a phenomenal MMA fighter or heavyweight boxer, but instead he's making $50 million playing for the Chicago Bears.
True enough.
So I do think that, but
the other thing I think that has hurt boxing, the evolution of MMA.
No question.
So that, I mean, you know, the evolution of mixed martial arts overall, UFC, the Octagon, all that stuff has taken away from boxing as well.
The corruption in boxing has also taken away from
that. And that was going to be my final piece right there.
The million different organizations is part of it. I mean, it used to be, even at the height of heavyweight boxing, which I would say was probably in the 60s and 70s into the early 80s, they only had three.
You had three.
And now they have, I don't even know, a million?
A million? So everyone's a champion. Everyone's got to defend the title.
And then the Klitschko brothers held part of the titles for a long time and wouldn't fight each other. So then you had a non-unified belt that was sort of like this family that was the heavyweight champion.
It was more like WWF for a while is what happened, man, and got away from boxing. Yeah, man, it's sad because boxing in its essence is a beautiful sport.
Yeah.
And I know that it's a very barbaric, very violent sport, but when you watch the effort and the training that goes into it, it is a beautiful sport. It is a very graceful sport. It's one of the best athletic bodies on the planet as well, as far as the training that goes into it.
No question.
Like what you have to do to be a boxer, like train like a boxer, and I guarantee you'll excel at almost any other sport just because of how explosive you have to be in spurts. But I think that's what has happened. And then again, I would say the corruption of sports has marred boxing much like it does baseball. And I think once something is corrupted and tainted, forever marred it remains.
I'm still going to watch this fight.
Oh, no question. Let's talk about it.
I mean, so what do you think of this fight? Because this is interesting, right? Wilder was knocking people's heads off for a minute. Then, as we see so often in fight sports, this is as old as, I mean, it's more than a century of when you first get knocked down and you've never really got knocked down before, your luster is impacted. Oh. And you have a hard time reaching that alpha dog point. Almost every heavyweight champion
faces
the
that.
moment he ever gets knocked down, it has a hard time reascending. That's why Muhammad Ali is so epic, because he not once, not twice, but 3 times rose back up to become the heavyweight champion. But even when Mike Tyson first got tagged, he was never the same Tyson after that.
Oh, no, he never. He got a little chippy and started biting people and stuff. I don't know. That's another story for another day.
But Wilder has had a hard time reascending, whereas then now Fury's the guy that sits on top, and he pummeled Wilder last time. I don't even really know how they got this to be a third one, because the third rendition of this is coming after a pretty lopsided fight the last time around. The Vegas odds have this thing as even money for Wilder to get knocked out in the ninth round or earlier. So, I mean, this is almost a guaranteed not going to the card per the Vegas books. What's to make me think that that's not what's the case? I mean, what do you think of just the prospects of what's going to happen in this fight?
I don't know. Let's give ourselves and give the folks at home some context. 2018, they split, right? They split the contest. A couple of years later, homeboy gets knocked out. Like, Fury just, I don't even say beats him, he whoops him. And I say that on purpose, W-H-U-P-S. He got whooped. Yeah. And, a seventh round TKO. What it does is it actually gives this guy a chance to kind of redeem himself afterwards. It's almost like a trilogy, if you will. Other than that, it's there's nothing else in boxing to promote. Like, there's nothing else going on in this division, in this weight class, that is going to draw anything. I'm going to use your word, luster. There's no luster. There's no shine. What I like about it is it's refined versus very unorthodox. That's what I like about this. Yeah. You got Fury, who is a better boxer, a pugilist, if you will, and then you got Wilder, who's kind of goofy and unorthodox in life and within the ring. And the parallels that they bring to the fight, I think, are interesting dynamics and things to look for.
Final thoughts for the week as you head on down to Missoula County Public Stadium. Rajim's got to get out of here because he's got to go coach Sentinel versus Big Sky here about 2 hours. Missoula County Public Stadium. What do you think?
What I think is Sentinel hasn't lost in a long time. I'm going to get into my boxing mode. What I think is
15 in a row for the Spartans.
15 in a row, looking to make it 16. I'm just thinking it's going to be a good weekend. I'm hoping the Grizz bounce back. I hope you rock out the rest of this show for today, and I know you're going to be rocking pregame. I'll have you in my ear while I'm doing pregame with my little dudes tomorrow.
Yeah, buddy.
I don't know, man. It's been a good week. I always love ending it with you. Folks at home, thanks for having me and not telling me to get off your screen or out of your ears yet. Appreciate y'all.
This conversation brought to you by Nick Tabor and his partners over at Westpac Wealth. Their firm is here to ensure you are prepared and protected financially. Let Westpac Wealth make your life more tax efficient. Life assurance protects your loved ones financially in the event of premature death and provides peace of mind for loved ones. So give Nick Tabor and his associates at Westpac Wealth a call today. Hour 1 in the books, hour 2 coming at you. Garden City Spotlight, we'll hear from Missoula Sentinels, Dane Oliver, Missoula Big Skies, Matt Johnson, Missoula Hellgates, Mick Morris. We'll also take a look around the state of Montana at everything that's on the high school football docket. So keep it right here. It's Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio. Hey, it's Colter Nuanez from Nuanez Now. I'm here with Brent Wahlberg of the Wahlberg team at Windermere Real Estate. And Brent, you guys have been the official realtors of Grizz Athletics for quite some time. What most do you like about supporting the Grizz in Missoula?
Born and raised here in Missoula. I grew up 2 blocks off campus. A lot of us Montana kids were growing up on weekends in the fall. You're out in the woods hunting. I was sitting in Dorm Blazer and then watched in Grizzly Stadium watching the Grizz. I grew up with Grizz in my blood. It's just a wonderful part of our community and happy to be a part of it.
Give the Wahlberg team a call today, 529-4663. Paul Ryan is a name that's been synonymous with law around the Garden City for decades. And Paul is excited to announce the expansion of his firm to Ryan, Holloway, and Miller. Paul Ryan, Nate Holloway, and Angie Miller have a fierce love for their community and want to help you with any of your legal needs. From auto accidents to medical malpractice to wrongful death or any criminal defense, Ryan, Holloway, and Miller should be your first call. Paul has established a reputation as the top legal mind in Missoula, claiming the Garden City's best attorney honors 13 different years. Ryan Holloway and Miller is a local firm with experience and intimate knowledge to help clients with any needs. Ryan Holloway and Miller will be available to take your calls at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So no matter what your legal needs in western Montana and around the Treasure State, when it comes to personal injury or criminal defense, call Ryan Holloway and Miller today. Ryan Holloway and Miller, your Montana attorneys.
Over the past several months, we have seen a lot of people come through our doors looking for a specific vehicle. They know what they want, they just can't find it. Let us do the legwork. We have the resources to help you find the car you're looking for. If the vehicle you want is a 2017 Range Rover, we'll help you get into that car. Our dedicated sales staff are here for you and will make your car buying experience transparent and as easy as possible. It's always your car, your way at Nissan and Hyundai of Missoula.
Open your new Stockman Bank account anytime, anywhere with online account opening. Now, you can open an account in minutes on your laptop, tablet, or mobile phone. It's convenient, simple, and secure. Open your new account today at stockmanbank.com. Then, add our online and mobile banking services so you can manage your money when, where, and how you want. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Member FDIC.
Like most Montanans, we love a good steak. And because we're the Montana Club, we take the steaks we serve very seriously. We're confident to say that our custom-grilled steaks are as good a steak as you're going to get. Now we're proud to add regularly sourced, naturally raised Castle Rock bison ribeye to our selection. And remember, the Montana Club steak entrees include the sides. Come into the Montana Club today for an unrivaled steak experience. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Crosstown football descends upon the Garden City for the second straight week tonight. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Last week, Big Sky took down Hellgate 42-35 in the first crosstown football game of the season between Missoula's Class AA high schools. The initial crosstown game between Sentinel and Hellgate was canceled. Tonight, the Eagles will look to topple the defending state champion Spartan to earn a city title. If Sentinel comes out on top, it'll be the 16th straight overall victory for the top-ranked team in the state. Hellgate plays at surging Helena Capital tonight. The fourth-ranked Bruins are 4-2 this season. To hear from Sentinel head coach Dane Oliver, Big Sky head coach Matt Johnson, and Hellgate head coach Mick Morris, tune in to Nuanez now at 5 p.m. today. The Hellgate girls soccer team earned its first city title in 13 seasons and won for the fifth time in a row. Moved to 9-1-1 with a 1-0 win over Missoula Big Sky on Thursday behind senior Ashley Young's goal in the 30th minute. Hamilton, who had its game last week against East Helena canceled, will search for its sixth consecutive victory tonight against winless Ronan. Top-ranked Florence Carlton hosts its rival in Missoula Loyola. Falcons are looking for their sixth straight win, while Loyola has lost two straight after a 3-1 start. And finally, the Grizz football team hosts Dixie State in a non-conference contest, while Montana State hosts Cal Poly on Saturday afternoon. This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Selway Armory.
It's fine, I feel it in my skin, warming up my mind. Sometimes you gotta give in to win. I love the days when it shines. Whoa, let it shine. Sunshine, sunshine, it's fine. I feel it in my skin, warming up my mind. Sometimes you gotta give in to win. I love the days when it shines. Whoa, let it shine. Whoa, let it shine.
What up? Happy Friday.
Let it shine.
Little atmosphere bringing you back. I've seen atmosphere in Missoula, I think 4 times now since I returned back to my hometown. I always love some atmosphere. They were awesome this year at the amphitheater. I saw them at the Wilma several times, and they rocked that venue for sure. I was curious to see how it would go at a larger venue, and it was equally, if not more, epic. So if you ever get a chance, I know some people around here love atmosphere. I mean, obviously, they sold it out at the Kettle House Amphitheater. But if you're not familiar, it's pretty appealing type of music. I mean, the atmosphere is pretty sweet. Good rhymes, good beats. So, and they always come to Missoula, and they always show out when they're in Missoula. They love Missoula. So go check them out next time they're in town. It's Nuanez now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. We're broadcasting to you live from the Northwest Motorsports Studio. Visit NWMSRocks.com to check out the largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. It's Trucktober, so that means as low as 1.99% APR financing on all trucks at Northwest Motorsport. Trucks, and more trucks. They ain't lying. They got the largest inventory anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. Michigan thing in the first hour. Rajim Seabrook in studio with me. We talked all things high school football, college football, professional football, Major League Baseball playoffs, boxing, And, of course, a little hip-hop as well. You can find all that from the first hour on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is proudly presented by Blackfoot Communications, the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel, and Sportsbet Montana. Also, going to start embedding our Marty Morningweg Monday afternoon quarterback with Coach Marty on our podcast channel as well. So if you want to re-listen to that before you get prepped up for NFL stuff, or listen for the first time, whatever. You can also find that on the Nuanez Now podcast as well. You'll see those start to populate as well. And I'll probably see them going out all over our social medias as well. Speaking of social media, go follow ESPN Missoula on Instagram and Facebook, please. Also, subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel, please. And once you do that, text us, please, 888-1029, and let us know that you've done what I just told you to do. That'll get you entered in our Big Fall giveaway presented by Alpine Touch and Twisted Tea. I got a Traeger grill, a Euro Alpine Touch, and a beef box from Haymaker Beef, one of the prizes. Also got an Otter box, a cooler, and a grill from Twisted Tea, another one of the prizes. We're also going to probably dime you up with a bunch of good swag as well, ESPN-style stuff. We're going to hook you up. So follow us, follow Alpine Touch, follow Haymaker Beef on social media, subscribe to the Nuanez Now YouTube and podcasts, and then text us, 888-1029. That'll get you all entered in for those prizes. We'll be giving that away at the rivalry game, November 20th, here in Missoula as Montana State visits Montana. Grizz host Dixie State tomorrow. Dixie State's a transitioning Division I school. They were a junior college as recently as 2006. They played in the Division II ranks for about a decade. They were in the Great Northwest Athletic Conference before then moving into the RMAC for the last couple years. They're led by Paul Peterson, a head coach with deep Big Sky Conference ties. He was at Southern Utah when the Thunderbirds first came to the Big Sky Conference. And then he was the offensive coordinator at Sac State for 4 years. Coach Garrett Saffron, some explosive Sac State offenses. Been at Dixie State now as they make the transition. They're an independent this year. This is their fourth Big Sky Conference opponent in the last 5 weeks. And then they'll be making the transition to the WAC along with Southern Utah. For those that don't know the geography, St. George, Utah, Cedar City, Utah, where Dixie State and Southern Utah are located respectively, about 45 minutes apart, maybe even a little less than that. They're right next to each other. So that's one of the motivating factors for Southern Utah leaving the Big Sky Conference. So Dixie State, a team that is still in the midst of that transition, so I expect them to be overmatched talent-wise tomorrow. But that's all to say that we're still throwing a party. We'll have our pregame tailgate show from the Chamber of Commerce parking lot. I'll be down there setting up about 9:30, but we'll be broadcasting live from 11 until 12:30, taking you right up to that 1 p.m. kickoff at Washington Grizzly Stadium. Twisted Tea will be giving out all sorts of swag and samples. The Badlander will be slanging drinks. We got all sorts of swag from all of our awesome clients. We'll be broadcasting from the back of a trailer provided by RV Truck Sales. So come say hi. Come check us out. Come listen to the broadcast. And come see what ESPN Missoula is all about as you get ready for the Grizz game tomorrow. It is our ESPN Twisted Tailgate College Game Day presented in part by Twisted Tea. Crosstown football tonight. Missoula Big Sky, Missoula Sentinel squaring off. Last week, Big Sky took down Hellgate 42-35. Sentinel's game against Hellgate was canceled because of COVID protocol. So tonight is essentially for the city championship, of the Garden City. This is our Garden City Spotlight, where we highlight some of the best of the city of Missoula each Friday, including this time of year, hearing from all three Class AA football coaches from Missoula's high schools. The Garden City Spotlight is presented by Dr. Gene Morris of Oral Surgical Associates.
Well, time now, as we do each Friday, go to the Ringish Brothers RV phone line. Welcome in Dane Oliver, the head coach of the Missoula Sentinel Spartans. His team got a little crosstown action this weekend tonight against Missoula Big Sky. Coach, your team kept it rolling last week, 54-0 against Kalispell Flathead. I know that's a Flathead program that's rebuilding under a first-year head coach, Alex Cummings, but got to be proud of your guys for taking care of business like they did. What were your impressions of last week's game?
You know, it's tough. We feel like we've been on the road all season, and so just anytime you can get up to Kalispell and get a win and play well, we really wanted to emphasize the passing game, and some quick screen passes, and Zach Cruz was 10 for 11. Defense played lights out. We scored on a punt block, so just a lot of positive. It's hard to get all kids going in the right direction, so coming out with a victory always feels good.
Well, I know that it's been an interesting transition for Cruz because he played quarterback when he was younger, then he was a primary offensive weapon, especially during last year's state championship run, but now back under center. So how have you seen him develop? I mean, what do you thought of just the progress he's made as a quarterback?
He's just making a transition. You know, he's a kid. He's got one speed, and it's just go hard. And so there's some nuances and finesse that go along with playing the quarterback position. So just his growth and managing the game and managing his own emotions. Sometimes just going hard doesn't always equate to great results. So, and you don't want to take it out of him, but just his growth in that aspect has been fun and rewarding to see.
He's one of the premier defensive players in the state, too. Do you ever worry about having your quarterback playing on the defensive line?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. I always say it's better to deal with him on the field than it is on the sideline when he's standing there. So it's just kind of that catch-22. And, you know, we try to manage his load as far as how much he's playing defensively. But, you know, how do you keep a great athlete like that off the field is kind of what I go back to. And there is a risk, and we're prepared for that when it happens. It potentially happens. So, but he makes plays both offensively and defensively, so got to get our best guys in the field.
No question. Dane Oliver joining us here on the Garden City Spotlight, presented by Dr. Gene Morris of Oral Surgical Associates. We make the rounds with all the AA coaches from around the Garden City each Friday here on Nuanez Now. And, Coach, let's talk about Crosstown Clash. I know you got your first one called off with the game against Hellgate, but now you got Big Sky this weekend. So, first and foremost, before we get into the details of this actual matchup, how does it make you feel when the Crosstown rivalries roll around?
Well, you know, Crosstown always brings about different emotions, and so it's just keeping kids focused on the task at hand, keeping it about the Spartans and not worrying about their buddies across the town. And we always seem to get into some dogfights with Big Sky. It's just kind of the culture that Coach Johnson's created. So, you know, a little more nerves always, a little more emotions. You know, you're in for a 4-quarter fight, so hopefully we can get out there and just do what we do and focus on ourselves. And when we do that, usually we've been pretty successful this past season.
Well, Big Sky coming off a Crosstown victory last week over Hellgate. Great win with the Eagles, 42-35 against the Knights. There's obviously going to be some carryover from that game. We'll see if Big Sky can harness that momentum, or maybe if there's some sort of hangover from it. I expect Matt Johnson's guys to be ready to go. So when you think of Big Sky, though, what do you think? Because Big Sky, only 2 head coaches in pretty much the entire duration of my life in Missoula, and they've had a pretty similar identity the whole time. But when you think of Big Sky, what do you think?
Yeah, they represent what Coach Eck and Coach Johnson were about. That's toughness and grit. You know, we're very much about those same things. But you know you're going to be in for a fight when you play Big Sky. So what shows up on film is, you know, they get better each week, and there's some kids on that team we'd love to have because they just play with that toughness you look for. And so just a lot of respect for.
Specifically, Caleb Brent seems to be coming into his own. A great athlete, but he's playing really a lot better at quarterback as well now. So what do you think of just the dynamic he brings to the Big Sky offense?
Yeah, I know. I've talked to Coach Johnson about him. He's a kid that he works as hard as anybody he's ever coached. He's heady and smart and makes good decisions. He knows what his skill set is, and so, you know, we talk to kids all the time about you just be you. And so I see that out of that young man, and he's grown. It's his first year being a starter, and he's going to make some throws, and hopefully we can get some pressure on him.
Well, I know that there's a variety of goals, particularly for a team that has lofty aspirations like your team, but it seems as if this is one of the first goals that you can check off the list if you do take care of business against Big Sky and get your first Crosstown win of the season. So what's it going to take? What are the keys to victory for Sentinel if you're going to take down Big Sky tonight?
Well, yeah, we need to, you know, they seem to be a little bit more of a ball control offense when they play us, so we need to take advantage of the possessions that we have. We can't turn the ball over and give them more possession, give them momentum and belief. We gotta just play our solid game, and, you know, field position's always important. Create some takeaways, turnovers. Just do the fundamental football that we talk about all the time: blocking and tackling, take care of the football. When we've done that, that's been our formula. So excited to get out there tonight and have a great game.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time as always. Know it's a busy time of year for you, and we look forward to catching up next week, but best of luck tonight against Big Sky.
All right, thanks, Coulter.
There you go, Dane Oliver, Garden City Spotlight. Our Andrew Houghton caught up with Matt Johnson. Garden City Spotlight is presented by Dr. Gene Morris of Oral Surgical Associates of Missoula. Matt Johnson, the head coach of the Big Sky Eagles, his team trying to knock off the top-ranked team in the state and win themselves a city championship.
Joining us now on the Garden City Spotlight, Big Sky head football coach Matt Johnson. Johnson and the Eagles coming off a big crosstown rivalry win from a week ago, 42-35 over Hellgate. That moved the Eagles to 2-4 overall, 1-3 in league play. Matt, let's just start there. What was working for you in that game? Walk me through that game a little bit. Big crosstown rivalry win.
Yeah, I think, we've been working to establish our run game, and we wanted to get after that early. They're in the same boat as us as far as, low numbers. They definitely have fewer than we do, so we, part of that, using that to your advantage, because they got a couple kids that are studs, right? And we know it's going to be hard to keep up if we turn it into a track meet. So, wanted to get out, be aggressive running the football. I thought we did a good job. And then as the game went, we were able to get bigger chunks of that, be able to still establish a solid passing game in there too, keep them kind of guessing. And I thought, when we got to the end, our run game kind of was able to outshine and, keep the ball out of their hands a little more, be able to go on drives, and thought we did a good job with it, and I thought that's what kind of sealed it for us then at the end.
Yeah, it was an interesting game, really close throughout. I mean, I think you guys were up by 1 point at halftime, sort of hit a lull in the third quarter, and then things really opened up in the fourth quarter. I think you guys scored 20 points in the fourth quarter to seal it. Did anything change that late in the game, or was it just like you said, you were wearing them down a little bit?
Yeah, I do. I think that was a major piece of it. I started to see it on some of their main guys. The receivers ran probably, 50 routes. A lot of them are deep throughout the game. So started to see that come into play, I thought. And then same thing up front, and then when the run game starts leaking, it compromises their defense a little bit. So we, one of our last touchdowns, we ran a little play action pass. Because as everybody starts moving in to stop it, we're able to hit something, and our kids executed it well, and we were able to get in front enough. And it's hard because number 11, he made a couple of huge catches at the end that are just good plays, and was able to keep them in it.
Yeah, of course, a huge win for you guys, getting your first win in league play. Where do you stand now as far as playoff seeding, potentially playoff qualification? How much did that win do for you?
That was pretty huge, because as we're sitting at this moment, it's kind of us and Hellgate battling for kind of that last spot in, just as we're currently sitting. So, that was a big one. That gives us the upper hand on that, and hopefully each game as we go forward with, we can improve on it.
Big Sky head football coach Matt Johnson joining us for the Garden City Spotlight this week. Matt, you got the one crosstown win last week. You're heading into another crosstown game this week, and of course it's a slightly more difficult opponent as you're facing the defending state champion Sentinel Spartans. What are just your initial thoughts on that game?
So yeah, pretty interesting, coming off our first crosstown game where a little bit high emotions and hard-fought game, and, it takes a lot out of you, and then you got to turn around and redo that again for the next week. So I think our kids are pretty resilient and bounced back from that stuff pretty well and had a pretty good week. So, I think we're in a good spot. Sentinel's definitely got some talented players and a little more depth than us, and I think for us, it's going to come down to if we can stop their run game and be able to hit a couple plays on offense, sustain drives, or a big chunk play here and there is going to be a key factor for us to be able to upset them.
What have you been most impressed with just watching Sentinel on tape? Because that's a team that, they won the state championship last year. They're 5-0 this year. I mean, that's probably the team that a lot of people would say is the best team in the state. What have you seen from them on tape that's been so good?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, I guess, what what I've seen on tape. I think I would say the big one is number 11, their QB, just makes plays. There's times when other teams have him completely corralled or almost down, and he's able to somehow get the ball to an open guy or break a tackle. And seems like those are some of the plays that change the game and their opponent. Both, I thought Helena High did a pretty good job against them. It was kind of a weird game how it went, and Sentinel was able to get up, and then it seemed like Helena was trying to get it all back in one play. And so they kind of rattled people enough, and they do things well enough to, they're definitely different than last year. They're not like that team from last year, but, and I think the big one on offense is their quarterback, and then they do things well enough all the way around and have some pretty good athletes. So kind of a combination. They don't have maybe any one huge star besides Cruz. In my book, what I kind of saw looked a little more like a team effort, and so we got to, we'll have our hands full, but I think we're up for the challenge too.
Sentinel's quarterback, of course, number 11, Zach Cruz, who's committed to the Montana Grizzlies. It's Coach Matt Johnson of the Big Sky Eagles joining us here for the Garden City Spotlight. Matt, after the big crosstown game against Sentinel this week, you've got 2 games left. You got Helena, which is another tough one, and then Flathead to finish the season, and that might be the one that determines whether you get into the playoffs or not. Have you looked forward to those games at all? I mean, are those even on your radar right now?
Honestly, not really. Just really try and go one game at a time and face the opponent you have for that week. It's hard to really look too far in advance, especially, you never know whether it's injuries or other things, circumstances that come up each week. So try and just take it each time, take the game plan, move it forward. Each week try and evaluate that, where you're at with it, and what you got to improve on. And the funny part is, however it works in the schedule, it's like we're following the teams that played Helena High and Flathead right before us almost. So we've seen, actually, as we scout our each week opponent, we're seeing the other opponent through film there a little bit anyway. So you get an idea who those teams are, maybe in the back of your mind, but really just taking each week as it comes and goes here.
All right, Big Sky playing Sentinel this week. Matt, before we let you go, anything else that you're thinking about for that game? Just wanted to mention this week.
Nope, I just, another crosstown game. Big Sky, we've been pretty good in those over the past 25 years. We've kind of owned it. So the last couple of years have been tough. So see if we can right the ship, turn it around here, and should be a battle.
All right, that's head coach Matt Johnson of the Big Sky Eagles. Matt, thank you for your time. As always, good luck this week.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate it.
Garden City Spotlight rolls on, highlighting the Class AA head coaches for the football programs here in the Garden City. It's presented by Dr. Gene Morris of Oral Surgical Associates in Missoula. You need a place to get your wisdom teeth out? I promise you're going to want to go see a doctor, a surgeon with the expertise of Dr. Morris. Visit oralsurgicalassociates.com. That's oralsurgicalassociates.com to learn more about this exceptional level of care. I'm going to keep on rocking when it comes to high school football. We're going to hear from Mick Morris. His team plays at Helena Capital tonight, and we're also going to take you around the state, see some of the best matchups. Keep it right here. Nuanez now.
Oh, I love family road trips. Wind in my ears.
Good dog.
Treats in my mouth, and peace of mind knowing Les Schwab did our tires, brakes, and alignment. Like Les Schwab, my family's safety is my first priority. Well, that and squeaky toys.
Swing by today and get road trip ready with our always free pre-trip safety check. Les Schwab Tires. Applies to passenger cars, SUVs, and light trucks only. Details at leschwab.com/safety.
Buying or selling a home can be an intimidating task. Brent Wahlberg and the Wahlberg team of Windermere Real Estate are here to make you feel comfortable no matter where you're at in the process. The official realtors of Grizzly Athletics have more than 4 decades of experience in Western Montana. Brent and his team can not only find you your perfect home or buyer, but they can also teach you about the great city of Missoula and its tradition-laden sports teams. The Wahlberg team works as a family to help fulfill your real estate needs all over Western Montana. If you need help with residential, land, investment, or commercial, give Brent Wahlberg and the Wahlberg team a call today. Why build a work history at a job when you can build a future in your own business? Westpac Wealth Partners is looking for entrepreneurial-minded people who are ready to take their future into their own hands. Nick Tabor and his associates provide clients with financial tools and tested solutions for navigating this complex financial climate. Westpac Wealth also has a work culture that has been recognized as a best workplace in Fortune magazine. If you're ready to start building a business in a long-term career, apply at westpacwealth.com. Westpac Wealth Partners, LLC is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. Insurance products offered through Westpac Wealth Partners and Insurance Services, LLC, a DBA of Westpac Wealth Partners, LLC.
As a thank you to Montanans for their longtime loyalty, Bob Ward's Sports and Outdoors is having one of the biggest sales of the year, September 29th through October 10th. Whatever outdoor adventure you seek, you'll find amazing deals in hiking, fishing, camping, hunting, fitness, and footwear during their 12 Days of Deals sale. Over 100 years of Montana sports and outdoors tradition. Hurry in, the 12 Days of Deals sale ends October 10th.
The old cliche is that nobody cares about your fantasy football team, but that's not entirely true at ESPN Missoula. Tune in each Wednesday to Nuanez Now during the 4 o'clock hour for Wing It Wednesday, presented by the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. For years, the Desperado has been providing the best wings in the city of Missoula to you, the loyal listeners, and now Nuanez Now is giving Wing It Wednesday a new spin. Call or text into your favorite daily sports talk show each Wednesday with your fantasy football questions and enter to win a dozen wings from the King of Wings. Wing It Wednesday, reminding you that even if no one else cares about your fantasy football team, we're here for you. There is nothing like Grizz Game Day in Missoula. The people, the excitement, the football. At ESPN, we love to celebrate Grizz football, so join us at the Chamber of Commerce parking lot before the game for the Nuanez Now Twisted Tailgate. This year's College Game Day is brought to you by Twisted Tea, Carl Tyler Chevrolet, Harvey Truck Sales, Domino's Pizza, Ryan Holloway and Miller, Selway Armory, Alpine Touch, and Pepsi Cola. We will be broadcasting live and giving away free Pepsi products, plus a ton of swag from our sponsors. See you this Saturday starting at 11 a.m. at the Chamber.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Crosstown football descends upon the Garden City for the second straight week tonight. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Last week, Big Sky took down Hellgate 42-35 in the first crosstown football game of the season between Missoula's Class AA high schools. The initial crosstown game between Sentinel and Hellgate was canceled. Tonight, the Eagles will look to topple the defending state champion Spartan to earn a city title. If Sentinel comes out on top, it'll be the 16th straight overall victory for the top-ranked team in the state. Hellgate plays at surging Helena Capital tonight. The fourth-ranked Bruins are 4-2 this season. To hear from Sentinel head coach Dane Oliver, Big Sky head coach Matt Johnson, and Hellgate head coach Mick Morris, tune in to Nuanez Now at 5 p.m. today. The Hellgate girls soccer team earned its first city title in 13 seasons and won for the 5th time in a row. Moved to 9-1-1 with a 1-0 win over Missoula Big Sky on Thursday behind senior Ashley Young's goal in the 30th minute. Hamilton, who had its game last week against East Helena canceled, will search for its 6th consecutive victory tonight against winless Ronan. Top-ranked Florence Carlton hosts its rival in Missoula Loyola. Falcons are looking for their 6th straight win, while Loyola has lost 2 straight after a 3-1 start. And finally, the Grizz football team hosts Dixie State in a non-conference contest, while Montana State hosts Cal Poly on Saturday afternoon. This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Selway Armory. By Music and Me, one of the great albums of all time. Maybe one of the best little-known albums ever as well. Nate Dogg, when he rolled solo. R.I.P. man, gone too soon. One of the great vocalists in hip-hop history. Welcome back in. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. I'm Colter Nuanez. If you're watching us through the Northwest Motorsports Studio,
We are broadcasting in the Northwest Motorsport studio. You can find Northwest Motorsport online, nwmsrocks.com. That's nwmsrocks.com. A whole bunch of good games in the state tonight. Also, if you want to get all prepped up for tomorrow's Grizz football game, swing on down to the Chamber of Commerce parking lot. We'll be broadcasting live from 11 until 12:30. We'll get you all prepped up for Montana's last non-conference game. This one against a team they've never played before, the Dixie State Trailblazers, a transitioning Division I team that will be in the WAC as of next year, but they're playing an independent schedule that's basically, so far, a Big Sky schedule. They've already played UC Davis. They've already played Weber State. Now they're playing Montana. And they already played Sacramento State as well. So this is their fourth Big Sky Conference game. They also played South Dakota State last week, got drilled by SDSU as well. But we will be broadcasting live for a couple hours before the game. We'll be kicking it on our awesome toy hauler, courtesy of RV Truck Sales. We also going to have the Badlander Slang and Drinks. Twisted Tea's got a bunch of samples and swag. Pepsi Cola going to keep you hydrated. We have all sorts of other swag from all of our other great sponsors, including Carl Tyler Chevrolet, Alpine Touch, Subway Armory, and Ryan Holloway and Miller. So please swing on by and check out our ESPN College Game Day Twisted Tailgate. More high school football. The one Missoula team that does not have a crosstown game tonight is one that played in a crosstown game last week. The Hellgate fell to Big Sky despite Connor Dick throwing 4 touchdowns. He's having a good year. The Hellgate passing game has been good. Hellgate's just kind of treading right now. They have had a couple victories. They lost a 1-touchdown result to Big Sky last week. So we'll see if they can get back on track, but they're playing one of the surging teams in the state. Helena Capital and Great Falls CMR are the two teams that I think have been the quote-unquote surprises thus far. And the Knights, they travel to play the Bruins in the capital city tonight. Andrew Houghton of ESPN Missoula caught up with Mick Morris, Hellgate's head coach, earlier this week.
We're joined now for the Garden City Spotlight by Hellgate head football coach Mick Morris. Mick and the Knights coming off a tough crosstown rivalry loss, 42-35 to Big Sky last week. Mick, let's start there. Just a post-mortem of that game last week. I know that was a game that had a lot of eyes from around Missoula on it. A highly anticipated matchup and a big one for playoff seeding that didn't go your way. But what went wrong in that game?
Yeah, we just, we didn't make enough plays, I think, when it mattered. And, if you score 35 points, you hope that is enough, but unfortunately it wasn't. And, we had some opportunities to make some interceptions or get some stops on third down. And, credit to Big Sky, they made those plays and we didn't. We played pretty well for the most part, but just didn't get it done.
And that was a game that was really close really close the whole way, and Big Sky had a 1-point lead at halftime and then sort of took off in the fourth quarter. They scored 20 points in the fourth quarter. You guys scored 14. What changed just late in that game that allowed the offenses to break out a little bit?
Well, I think they kind of were moving the whole time. Third quarter was just kind of a weird quarter. They turned the ball over early. We got the ball. Our receiver was literally running into the end zone to score, and just, I don't know if he hit the ball off his knee or what happened. He fumbled, so then it turned it over to them, and they do such a good job of maintaining the clock and controlling that it really limits possession. So the third quarter went by pretty fast, and all of a sudden you look up and it's fourth quarter, and then the fireworks started going off a little bit.
So that leaves Hellgate now at 1-2 in conference play, 2-3 overall. Where does this leave you in terms of playoff seeding? What do you guys need to do from here?
Well, we got 3 games left, right? So we, probably got to win at least 2 of them. It's hard, right? Because we're 8 points away from being 4-1, and that looks a heck of a lot better than 2-3, and conversation's probably a whole lot different between you and I if we're 4-1, but the fact is we're not, and we know we got a good team, and other than one game, we've been competitive in everything, and we got a really tough matchup the next 3 weeks with Capital, Butte, and Glacier, but we're pretty confident that we can move the football, and hopefully we can get a few more stops on defense, and maybe get some turnovers and stuff that we've lacked the last couple weeks.
It's Hellgate head football coach Mick Morris joining us for the Garden City Spotlight. Mick, as you pointed out, I mean, you guys are 3-2, two really close losses, including last week against Big Sky. You guys have been sort of trading wins and losses here because you lose one, win one, lose one, win one. Lost last week. What do you need to do in these next 3 weeks against Capital, Butte, and then Glacier to sort of make a run at it?
Well, we got one thing that's really hurt us. We're negative in turnovers on the season, and when you struggle a little bit defensively, if your offense is turning it over and you're not forcing turnovers, you're really behind the 8 ball. But we got to somehow find a way to manufacture some stops, and we got to have some of our guys step up on that side of the ball and make a big play when we need it. And we certainly, Big Sky did a good job against us, but, man, we had them in a lot of 3rd and longs and had some chances to get off the field, and we just didn't. And so hopefully we can kind of continue that. And, on the flip side of things on offense, we've done a really good job this year throwing the football, and we got a really amazing quarterback, a couple of really good receivers. O-line's done a good job. So hopefully we can continue putting points on the board that'll keep us in games.
Yeah, and as you mentioned there, I mean, the offense has been really good this year. Aside from that one loss to Helena, I think you guys have scored at least 35 points in every game. You mentioned the passing game has been good for you, but what schematically have you been trying to do that has allowed you to score that much?
We've kind of just chucked the ball over the place. Ian Finch had 15 catches for 260 yards and 4 touchdowns against Big Sky. So when you have a kid like that, putting up those kind of numbers, that makes your whole offense look pretty good. And then you add in Leo Filardi, who's 2nd in the state in receiving right now. And those are 2 pretty dynamic football players that we have. And then you got a quarterback that really is starting to develop into something really special. We knew he was talented and we knew he was athletic, but he's really starting to take on that position. And, man, from the first game to now, he's really made some big strides. So, if you're able to throw the football and, usually you can put points on the board. So, we've been happy with that. O-line's done a good job the last couple of weeks, keeping him clean. When we have run the ball with Jake Swellen, he's done a good job. So, we feel pretty good about that unit.
Hellgate going into a game against Helena Capital this week. The Bruins 4-2 with losses to Billings West and then a couple weeks ago to Kalispell Glacier. Coaches, what have you seen from them? What are you expecting them to run? Who are their players to watch?
Yeah, it's kind of the Capital that has been that way for 30 years, right? And they line up and they're tougher than heck, and they play just good sound football, and their defense is special. And I think they're just really, really good in the trenches. Their O-lines and D-lines tend to kind of dominate every game. So hopefully we can get out in space a little bit on offense, and hopefully on defensive stuff we can maybe stunt a little bit, maybe bring a little bit of pressure. And they do a lot of different pulls and a lot of different sets with their O-line. So hopefully we can kind of maybe find some gaps in there to get some tackles for a loss.
How difficult is it for you guys going against a team with a good, especially defensive line like that? Because, like you said, I mean, you wanted to throw the ball. Does that sort of gum up your offense a little bit when they're getting pressure?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you got different packs, screen packages and different plays like that. But, and we try to do our best. Connor does such a good job of getting out of the pocket in our line, and Jake Swellen does a good job of kind of hinging that to where it allows him to get out of the pocket. And our offensive line, really a credit to them. They've done a really good job this year, especially, Tommy Nelson and Lane Cooney on the corners, kind of sealing that edge so Connor can get out. But he's pretty shifty, man. He's a pretty dynamic athlete back there. So even when we do break down a little bit, he's done a good job of kind of, breaking through that a little bit, keeping his eyes downfield and being able to find those receivers.
Hellgate head coach Mick Morris joining us for this week's edition of the Garden City Spotlight. Knights going into a game against Helena Capital this week. Great talking with you. Good luck this weekend.
Hey, thanks again. Appreciate the coverage, guys.
There you go, Mick Morris, Missoula Hellgate head coach. Ton of great games tonight outside of the Missoula teams. We'll take a look at that for our Prep Extra to take you home here on a Friday. Keep it right here. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.
Backed by popular demand, Zootown Sports Cards presents the Missoula Sports Card and Collectibles Show. On Saturday, October 20th at the Doubletree Hotel, come check out exceptionally rare and coveted cards and goods from more than 30 vendors from around the state and region. The specialty show lasts from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. and admission for attendees is free. So come check out the hottest in the memorabilia industry at the Missoula Sports Card and Collectibles Show at the Doubletree, October 23rd, presented by Zootown Sports Cards of Missoula.
Visit Carl Tyler Chevrolet for all of your vehicle needs. Whether you're looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle backed with Carl Tyler's lifetime powertrain warranty, or if you're looking for vehicle maintenance and repair, we have the expertise you are looking for. Carl Tyler Chevrolet is locally owned and operated for over 35 years. Visit us today at 3665 North Reserve Street or gmofmontana.com and start your adventure at Carl Tyler Chevrolet and find new roads in Montana.
On game day, there's nothing like tailgating, touchdowns, and Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Twisted Tea goes down smooth and tastes like real iced tea because it's made with real brewed tea. Cool, refreshing, and a 5% kick of alcohol. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Fill your game day cooler or your fridge at home with the refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Look for bright yellow cans wherever you buy beer. Twisted Tea. Keep it twisted.
Fall is in the air. The crisp mornings and evenings are a perfect time to float at Float Missoula. With school back in full swing, Float Missoula is the perfect place to rest, reset, and recharge your mind, body, and soul. Float Missoula offers the highest standard of cleaning with their triple filtrated float pods, so you can feel comfortable and safe while you float. Float away from it all at Float Missoula, downtown Missoula on the Hip Strip. Visit floatmsla.com for more information on packages and memberships.
Open your new Stockman Bank account anytime, anywhere with online account opening. Now, you can open an account in minutes on your laptop, tablet, or mobile phone. It's convenient, simple, and secure. Open your new account today at stockmanbank.com. Then, add our online and mobile banking services so you can manage your money when, where, and how you want. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Member FDIC.
Here at Florence Coffee, we take pumpkin serious, offering a variety of pumpkin lattes, chais, and frappes. They're all made with our real pumpkin to give your drink that genuine and satisfying fall pumpkin taste. Also try our all-natural pumpkin spice flavoring made from real spices and extracts. If you're ready for something pumpkin, you're ready for Florence Coffee. Go to any location or florencecoffeeco.com.
Under the big sky, Florence Coffee Company.
It's Nuanez now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
With so much drama in the LBC, it's kind of hard being Snoop D-O Double G, but I somehow, some way keep coming up with funky, yeah, this shit like every single day. May I kick a little something for the G's and
Snoop-a-loop, Snoop Dogg in the house. Love it. Fridays we like to get funky on the hip-hop. I like to keep it a little edgy, maybe a little hard rock during the week, but Fridays, especially when Rajim Seabrook rolling with us, I like to get a little bit funky. Welcome back. Nuanez now. 102.9 ESPN Radio as well as SWX Montana Television. I'm Colter Nuanez. As always, we're broadcasting to you from the Northwest Motorsport Studio. Northwest Motorsport, new to Missoula, located at the corner of Stevens and Mount. Head on down there, check it out. They have the largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. If they don't have it on the lot, they can get it for you from one of their other locations around the Northwest. You can check out all of that inventory online at nwmsrocks.com. That's nwmsrocks.com. It's Trucktober, and they also have available financing as low as 1.99% APR. So head on down to Northwest Motorsport or visit them online. Come visit us tomorrow, Chamber of Commerce parking lot. We'll be having our college game day, Twisted Tailgate. All sorts of awesome sponsors. We're doing a live pregame show. It's myself. Rajim got his freshman game rescheduled. So he's got a coach tomorrow. Ryan Tutel is somewhere in the middle of central Washington. And so it's just going to be me and my guy, Andrew Houghton, rolling with you before the game. We'll be down there about 9:30 setting up, but we'll also be broadcasting live from 11 until 11:30. So come say 11 to 12:30, 90 minutes of pregame coverage up until about half an hour before the 1 p.m. kickoff between Montana and Dixie State. So come hang out with us. We have all sorts of swag. The Badlander will be slanging drinks. Twisted Tea's got some samples for you. Yeah, we have all sorts of drawings and things that you can enter. It's an awesome time. We're trying to figure out a way to display our Grizz Greats painting because we want to do a little raffle for that as well. But that's in due time. We got all sorts of stuff for you down there tomorrow. And you can also find out more details about our Alpine Touch giveaway as well. We will be giving you some Alpine Touch tomorrow, but we're also giving you a bunch of Alpine Touch to go with a Traeger grill, a Traeger tailgate smoker, as well as a box of beef from Haymaker Beef. So please come see us and also enter that contest. All you got to do is subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels. Also follow us on Instagram and follow those other fine businesses on Instagram and Facebook as well. Alpine Touch, Haymaker Beef. Appreciate them for being a part of our fall giveaway. It's time now for our Prep Extra, presented by Farmers State Bank. Farmers State Bank, proud supporter of youth athletics across the state of Montana. They've been enriching the lives of Montanans since 1907. Let Farmers State Bank show you the Farmers State Bank difference today. Probably the biggest game in the Class B ranks is a rivalry game, and it's a prove-it game for Missoula Loyola. They had their first game of the season called off for some logistical issues. Then they won 3 in a row, including defeating defending state champ Manhattan. But now they lost a pair at Eureka, at Big Fork. Tonight, they play at Florence, the undefeated Falcons, led by Ethan Abbott, the defensive tackle who's committed to Montana State. They also have a great quarterback in junior Pat Duchesne, who's the son of head coach Pat Duchesne Sr., and a bunch of great playmakers. So we'll see if Loyola can test the Falcons tonight. I don't think Loyola needs to win this game to affirm themselves as a true playoff contender, but I do think they need to compete in it. And they also just need to halt the lack of momentum because they had some great momentum and then they've been kind of struggling the last 2 weeks. Part of that's just the opponents they've been playing, but it doesn't get any easier for the Falcons, and that's always a fierce rivalry. So can Florence keep it rolling? They're 5-0. Can Loyola get a seat at the table? The Rams were one of the best teams in Class B for quite some time, including reaching a peak at the beginning and middle of the 2010s. And they've been good since then, but last year was a down year for sure for Missoula Loyola. They did not win a game. They did not score a touchdown. But Todd Hughes got those guys rolling a little bit now, so we'll see if Loyola can compete tonight against the top-ranked team in Class B, the Florence Falcons. Around the Class AA ranks, Billings Skyview was at Great Falls High. Why is that a game of consequence? Well, Reed Harris, the star quarterback for the Great Falls High Bison, and his team were the number 4 team in the state in the Treasure State Media Poll preseason rankings. A lot of hype for that squad, a lot of hype for Harris. He's getting interest from Big Ten schools, including Purdue right now, as an athlete. So that shows you the caliber of athleticism that he does possess. But Great Falls High, they had a hard time scoring the first month of the year, and they started 0-4. Well, they've won 2 in a row, and they got Skyview, a team that lost 63-0 to Billings West last week, coming to town. So can Great Falls High stay hot? I still think the Bison are a team that could definitely make some noise in the playoffs if they can get a favorable draw. And so a game against a struggling Skyview team would definitely be big for Great Falls High tonight. Another team that has been rolling, maybe it's funny because people thought Great Falls High was going to be the team out of the Electric City that was going to be the team that's in the mix in the top tier of Class AA, but it's been Great Falls CMR, which is a return to the past for sure. Definitely the most storied program in the history of Class AA football, besides probably those early half of the 20th century Butte High teams. Missoula County Public High School had a run in there as well. But Great Falls CMR in the modern era, during the Jack Johnson era, definitely the premier program, both in terms of state championships. They won 13 of them, and college prospects. They had dozens and dozens of them. Some of the best players to ever come out of Montana went through the halls of Great Falls CMR, and they're rolling right now. They're a top 5 team, and they've had some pretty eye-opening scores. They whipped Butte last week, which was definitely a statement win, and they play at Bozeman tonight. Bozeman's one of those other teams that's, are they contender, pretender? Can they put up a fight tonight against CMR? Can they even knock them off? It's a big one. Another big-time one in the Western AA, Glacier at Butte. These two teams, Glacier has actually dropped a couple. They got stuffed last week. Helena High put it to Kalispell Glacier. They held Jake Randina under 40 yards rushing. He's the top and leading rusher in the Class AA ranks. Caden Hewitt, 6 total touchdowns, 3 passing, 3 rushing for Helena High. And they won in a runaway over the Butte High Bulldogs. So Butte now, who was off to one of the other surprising starts in the state, probably the surprise team of the West. Can they get it back on track after they dropped one last week to Helena High, and can Glacier get back on track? Excuse me, Helena High beat Glacier, and then Butte also fell last week to Great Falls CMR. So can those two teams get back on track and pull even in the conference standings? And then the Garden City's not the only city in the state of Montana with a crosstown showdown. Billings West, Billings Senior tonight. So the first time West has been tested in a little while. They've been blowing teams out. Some pretty impressive scores. But as of right now, it looks like West and Sentinel are on a collision course at the Class AA level. But they got to keep it rolling, and you never know when it comes to these crosstown games. You never know when a team's going to rise up. A couple things worth noting leading up to tomorrow's Grizz game. If you hadn't heard or you hadn't been listening to this show, maybe you missed it on this show. Colton Kynes, Missoula Big Sky product, he retired from the Grizz football team earlier this week. He started the first 3 games of the season for Montana at right guard. And then he did not make the trip to Eastern Washington last week. He announced on his Instagram and Twitter pages that he would be walking away from the Grizz. We also, we're trying to do a little bit of reporting on the various injuries the Montana's incurred over the last several weeks, but they're not saying much. They're not revealing much. And so maybe we'll have some confirmation about guys that are out as of tomorrow. I did not have a chance to make it down to practice this week. We were also informed multiple times by Montana Sports Information that injuries would not be part of the discussion, whether it's in press conferences or in pre and post practice interviews. So not much on the side of the Montana side of things. But I can tell you that Joe Babros, he did not play last week against Eastern. I think he's out for the foreseeable future. Gavin Robertson is still missing in action. The report is that he's been sick, but I have not seen him around, so we'll see if the Grizz senior safety returns to the lineup. But Babros almost certainly out. Deary Todd, who was backing up Babros, he left the game against Eastern as well. I don't know his status, probably, I would say, questionable. Isaiah Childs, a running back who got knocked out of the Eastern game as well. He probably is questionable as well. Pat O'Connell, he suffered a hand injury, but he did practice this week, albeit in a blue jersey, but he is likely to play tomorrow as well. So we'll get you all prepped up with all those sorts of details, plus a look inside what Dixie State brings to the table from head coach Paul Peterson to the squad that he's got there for the Trailblazers. Make no mistake, they do have talent. It's a place that you can recruit to. It might be not a lot of us Montanans cup of tea down there in the high desert in St. George, but it's definitely a growing place, a growing community, and a growing university. And so I think that they're going to be able to build something there. So we'll give you all the ins and outs tomorrow for 90 minutes before the game. You can find it here on ESPN Radio, or you can come hang out with us as well. We will be broadcasting from the Chamber of Commerce parking lot right at the base of the walking bridge along the Clark Fork River. So come hang out at our ESPN College Game Day Twisted Tailgate presented by Twisted Tea. And you can come check out our awesome RV from RV Truck Sales, get some swag and some coupons and some discounts and all that from Pepsi Cola as well as Domino's Pizza and a bunch of our other great sponsors. This game tomorrow, here's a little backstory behind this. So a lot of non-conference scheduling is finished quite a ways in advance. Oftentimes when you have a up game, so to speak, a FBS, a Power 5 game like Montana played this year against Washington, you take that payout, which was $675,000, and then you use it to buy yourself a home game. And usually it depends on the type of opponent you can get, but those usually cost you between $200,000 and $300,000 as Montana, but then you're going to make a significant amount at the gate. So it is a win-win proposition from a finance perspective to play an FBS and then get maybe an overmatched D2 or something to come to town because you're always going to make it back at the gate. Well, Dixie State is a good one to get on the schedule because they are a transitioning Division I program, so it will count as a Division I win tomorrow if and when the Grizz take care of business. If you can't tell, I'm pretty confident that the Grizz are going to take care of business against a team that lost 55-7 to South Dakota State last week. But that said, it still counts as a Division I win, and so it's good financing and it's also good scheduling, because this could help also the Grizz get back on track, but it will count towards their playoff resume as they continue to chase not only a Big Sky Conference championship, but perhaps another seed in the playoffs. The reason this game comes after a bye and in the midst of after already opening Big Sky Conference play, there was another game on the schedule with Missouri State that got bought out that then had to be replaced. So the non-conference initially with Washington, Western Illinois, and then Missouri State was supposed to be complete by the third week of September. Instead, the Grizz take the third week off because of a bye. This Dixie State game fits in to where Montana's bye was supposed to be, and the Grizzlies then have to step out of Big Sky Conference play before stepping back in for their last 6 games. So that's sort of the story behind the scheduling, why the Trailblazers are coming to town for the first time in program history. Montana State, they host Cal Poly. It's homecoming in Bozeman on Saturday. They open up their Bobcat Athletic Complex today, grand opening for that today. They've been residing in it. I've been to a couple press conferences there, but it's not quite finished, but they got almost all of it done now, and they did give the tour to all the alumni that are back in town as well as the media today. So we'll catch up with Leon Costello, Montana State Athletic Director, next week to talk about that, because I think it's an impactful addition as the arms race, both in the Treasure State and in the Big Sky Conference, continues around the wide world of football. Missed anything in the show today? It was a really fun show. Talked tons about high school football, which is always fun. We also heard a fair amount from James Seabrook about all things football, including the NFL and last week's Grizz game. Then we also talked a little Major League Baseball, a little boxing. We also had interviews with Matt Johnson, Dane Oliver, and Mick Morris, the 3 head coaches from the Class AA high school football teams here in the city of Missoula, and got you all prepped up for all the rest of high school football as well. All of that can be found on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is proudly presented by Blackfoot Communications, the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel, and Sportsbet Montana. Go follow us on Instagram. Go follow Alpine Touch, Haymaker Beef on Instagram and Facebook. Follow us on Facebook, too. Subscribe to Nuanez Now podcast. Subscribe to the Nuanez Now YouTube. We're going to keep reminding you, you got all the way until the rivalry game November 20th to get it done. Once you do it, text us, 888-1029, 888-1029. We'll get you all entered for our fall giveaway. Can't wait to hang out with you tomorrow. Come see us, Chamber of Commerce parking lot for college game day. In the meantime, be well.